Hello, I'm JWinder, and this is my EDL 853 case study, when a student's rights are wronged. First, we're going to summarize the case and establish the facts. This case was about a star quarterback named Miguel Hernandez and his family who just recently moved to Dover to attend Nottingham High School. They were not only interested in Nottingham's academic programs, but also their athletic programs. Miguel, who was a very talented football player, found himself as the starting quarterback in the state semifinal game, where he was injured on the final play. A defensive lineman hit him as he threw a touchdown pass, paralyzing him from the waist down. Now in a wheelchair, Miguel has been told by the high school counselor, Miss Guzman, that he can return to school and he would be welcomed back with accommodations. However, on his first day back, Miss Guzman informed him he was being taken out of biology, a class that he needed for college, and put into another science class because the biology room wasn't wheelchair accessible. The Hernandez family was obviously upset and called a meeting with the principal, myself, and brought Miguel's attorney, Howard Carey. Next, we're going to look at some legal or ethical issues. Has anyone been harmed? I believe Miguel and his family have been harmed by him being denied his right to equitable access of educational services and opportunities. Does the action contravene an existing law? Yes, the 504 plan was ignored or was not in place. This is referring to Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Were the actions discriminatory or was there a breach of contract? I do believe the actions by Ms. Guzman were discriminatory. However, I don't know that she was doing it on purpose. Synthesize what has happened. After being paralyzed and returning to school in a wheelchair, Miguel has been denied access to educational resources and opportunities that support his success by the school counselor, who has moved him from his biology class because it is not wheelchair accessible. Next, we're going to synthesize the facts. Who are the people in this case? Miguel, his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, Miss Guzman, the counselor, the principal, myself, our superintendent, Dr. Harvey, and Howard Carey, who was Miguel's attorney. The place was Nottingham High School in Dover, which is a very supportive community. The program was a public K-12 district with 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school of 3,200 students. Now we're going to review and prioritize the information. Is the situation damaging to the community? Yes, I think this situation hurts Miguel, obviously, and his education, and it could be damaging to stakeholders in the community in the future. Who has an important stake in the outcome? I believe Miguel, obviously, this is about him and his education and him being denied his right, as well as myself, Ms. Guzman, and the district, who are possibly facing backlash by the way that we handled this. Have all stakeholders been consulted? It doesn't clearly state that, but I would believe that Dr. Harvey, the board, and the school attorney should all be involved. Is there more to learn, and is there enough to make a decision? I believe more could be learned, but there is enough here to make a decision. Next, we're going to identify our options and possible consequences. Option number 1 would be to take no action. If you do that, nothing is resolved and there is a legal suit against the district. Option number 2 would be to provide Miguel accommodation via Zoom. He would be able to attend biology class by Zooming in each day. The problem with this is he's not with his class or his teacher in person, which is not being totally inclusive of Miguel. Option number 3 would be to meet with all involved, apologize and restore that relationship with Miguel and his parents, unveil the plan to keep Miguel in biology. We're going to move the class to an available room with wheelchair access. meet with Miss Guzman and provide her with training, as well as the rest of our staff about how to handle these situations. And then work to bring our building up to code to be able to meet the well-being of all students. The consequences here, I don't really see any. I don't believe there are any available. Next, we're going to evaluate our options. Option number one, the pros, there are none in my opinion. The cons, it is not equitable or inclusive to Miguel, and the district faces legal troubles. Option number two, pros, you are providing Miguel access to biology, however, you're not being fully inclusive. Option number three, pros, you're developing and maintaining a supportive, equitable, and inclusive school culture. You're providing access to educational resources and opportunities that support the success of Miguel and all students. Cons, there are none available. Best option. In my opinion, option number three is the best choice. Number one, the reason is overall is the best option for everyone. Number two, it advocates for equitable resources and opportunities that support the success and well-being of all students. And number three, it's just the right thing to do. Some questions to consider about this case. What should have been done prior to Miguel returning? I believe myself, the principal, should have communicated clearly with Ms. Guzman about accommodations that need to be made for Miguel to return. I think that was one of the biggest problems was the lack of communication. How could this situation have been avoided with the Hernandez family and attorney? I believe that communicating with Ms. Guzman as well as communicating with their family and letting them know that we were going to make every available accommodation to Miguel and make sure that he is given his right to his education. I think that stuff definitely could have been avoided if communication would have been first on the list. Number three, should I meet with Ms. Guzman to discuss the situation? Absolutely. I think that her and I, as well as every other teacher in the building, need to be on the same page when it comes to handling situations like this. Number four, is there a way to come to an agreement with Miguel, his parents, and the attorney? I do believe so. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, restore that relationship, let them know the plan you have in place to meet Miguel's needs and give him everything that he has a right to. I think over time that relationship would heal and we would be able to move on. Next, let's take a look at how I would implement my decision. Number one, I would communicate the plan effectively with all parties involved. That would include Ms. Guzman. I would be talking to our superintendent, as well as Miguel's family and attorney. Next, I would apologize to them, the Hernandez family, and then begin restoring the relationship with them. Number three, I would let them know about our plan to keep Miguel in biology and keep his experience as normal as possible. Number four, I would move the biology class to another accessible classroom that was available in the building. If that would mean I would have to move another class into that biology room, I would do that. As long as I was putting Miguel in a wheelchair accessible classroom, that would be my top priority. Number five would be to communicate with Ms. Guzman and staff to train them on issues like this to avoid future problems. Personally, I would have went back well before Miguel came back, and I would have met with Ms. Guzman and our staff to let them know that we needed to make every accommodation for Miguel to come back and have the best education that we could give him. Six, I would meet with administration, the Board of Education, and stakeholders to work on a plan to bring the building up to code to ensure that we are providing access to educational opportunities. that support the success of all students. I think by following this plan, I think that we could restore the relationship with Miguel's family. I think that we could um, ultimately give Miguel what he deserves and do what's best for him and all of our students. Um, I think this could have been easily avoided with great communication up front ahead of time with Ms. Guzman and all of our teachers, as well as whoever the maintenance staff and whoever we needed to get involved to move the classroom or enlarge a doorway or whatever we needed to do. And I think that this entire problem could have been avoided. So communication is key. Having great relationships with everyone is key. And I think by doing those two things, we could have easily avoided this disastrous situation. Thank you for listening. Take care.